Please take a moment to silence your phones and refrain from taking any flash photography or videotaping. Please take a moment to locate all emergency exits. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
And attention please, ladies and gentlemen guests. We're about to begin. Thank you. As the year's president of the Springfield Ladies Literary Society, I am pleased and would like to welcome you all tonight to our special event. Our speaker this evening is none other than noted authoress Josephine March, who I'm sure you will agree needs no introduction, except to say she's a celebrated champion of women issues, a dedicated speaker on the matters of importance to all of us, and somewhat infamous. Suffragette. But tonight, I hope we'll be hearing from Josephine March, a literary writer, and her stories and characters have brought us so much from over the years. She's a national treasure, and we are honored to have her here as our guest friend Springfield. Please welcome Josephine March.
Thank you for that spirited welcome. Since I have no plans of getting arrested while here in Springfield, I think I'll keep my talk to a rather safe subject. Literary fiction. I am often asked why I became a writer, and I have yet to find a satisfactory answer, except to say that I am who I am, and Joe March always wanted to write. If I could somehow show you the real Joe March, maybe you would understand why I write. My whole life, I suppose, has been a series of adventures, not the kind that one thinks of as dazzling or grand, but the kind that we all experience. And I have come to find that such adventures are no less exciting than the adventures of Odysseus. If I had to choose a time when I believe this adventure began, it would have to be the Christmas of 1863. We lived in a town not unlike this one, in a New England that was far away from the raging war. Father had lost a great deal of money in a bad business venture some years before, so the March family was not so grand as it had once been. When the war came, Father was too old to go as a soldier, so he joined Mr. Lincoln's army as chaplain. When spring came and he left for Virginia, money matters became worse than ever. But still, it was Christmas Eve, and the March family was nothing if not spirited.
Beth, look what we found in the attic. They're not really tree decorations, but they'll do well enough. Let me see. This old banner from Joe's play last summer might make a suitable garland. Oh, look at this. Our star for the top of the tree. That's pretty. We'll get this saddle tree looking magical before Marmee gets home. If only we had a dozen presents to put under it.
Oh, Christmas won't be Christmas without any presents.
Oh, it's so dreadful to be poor.
I don't think it's fair for some girls to have plenty of pretty things and other girls have nothing at all.
We've got mother and father and each other.
Well, we haven't got father. Not at home we don't. And who's to say how long it will be before we see him again?
You know the reason Mother proposed not having many Christmas presents this Christmas was because it was going to be a hard winter for everyone, and money ought not to be spent for the pleasure when our men are suffering so in the army. We can't do much, but we can make our little sacrifices and ought to do it gladly. We just wish we felt a little more glad about it.
That's Meg, the oldest and the most practical of the March girls. We all looked up to Meg because she always seemed so responsible.
You know, I wouldn't mind being so poor and not having nice things if I didn't have to go to that horrible school with those impudent girls who laugh at your dresses and label your father if he isn't rich. Oh, I wish we were as wealthy as the Lawrences. Then I'd thumb my nose at those girls and teach them a thing or two about manners.
That's Amy, the youngest, and as she likes to remind us, the prettiest.
Oh dear, that key is sticking again.
Oh, don't stop, Beth. We love it when you play.
I only wish I played better. Then this old piano wouldn't sound so bad. I know it sounds funny to say, but in some ways, I'm glad we're not rich.
Whatever for.
Well, didn't you say just the other day, Meg,
That the Watson children you have to tend to are always fighting and fretting in spite of all their money?
Well, yes.
And that we were a great deal happier than they are? Well, I think we are. For we do have to work and do without things. We make fun for ourselves. And I wouldn't want it any other way.
And that's our Beth. So sweet, so kind and gentle, but also so shy that she was content never to leave the house and her piano if she didn't need to. We all adored Beth, but her frail health and timid manner were a concern to all the family.
Hello, Don Pedro. Where are ye, thou sniveling swine of a villainous wretch?
But the most troubling of the March girls was undoubtedly myself.
Hello, dears.
Joe, you're home early.
Yes, I escaped. Aunt March dozed off during chapter 7 of St. Augustine's Confessions, so I tiptoed out with her being none the wiser. Christopher Columbus, would you look at that tree?
Do you like it?
Joe, don't use such slang, please.
Like it. It's miraculous. Maybe we will have a bit of Christmas around here after all.
Don't, Joe, it's so boyish.
That's why I do it. How's my Beth today?
Fine, Joe.
Oh, Joe! Look at your dress!
What's the matter with it?
Joe, have you been sitting to your fireplace again?
I only singed it a little. It gave Aunt March quite the start, I must admit.
Oh, how I detest rude, unladylike girls.
And I hate affected little niminy-piminy.
Stop it, both of you, really. You both are to blame. You're old enough to leave off the boys' tricks and behave better, Joe. It was funny when you were a little girl, but you're a young lady now.
Oh, I hate to think I've got to grow up and be Miss March and wear long gowns and be as prim as a China doll. It's bad enough being a girl anyway when I like boys' games and work and manners. I can't get over my disappointment in not being a boy. And it's worse than ever now, for I am dying to go off and fight with father, but I can only stay at home and knit like a poky old woman.
It's too bad, Joe, but it cannot be helped. You have to be contented with making your name boyish and playing brother to us girls.
Or playing those silly men in those silly plays of yours.
As for you, Amy, you're all too particular and prim. Your airs are funny now, but you'll grow up an affected little goose. Honk, honk, honk!
That's enough, Joe.
Of course, my dearest. Peace on Christmas Eve, I say. Speaking of those silly plays of mine, come on, Amy, we've got to rehearse. We've got to be ready for tomorrow night, and we can practice the fainting scene, for you are as stiff as a poker in that.
I can't help it. I never saw anyone faint, and I don't intend to make myself all black and blue, tumbling as flat as you do.
Come on, give it a try. You're the only one who can play Zaza. You're the only one small enough to be carried off shrieking by Don Pedro. Beth, could you give us some music?
Yes, Joe.
Meg, have you got your cue?
I think so.
Good. We can start from Don Pedro's entrance, and I'll use this comb for a pistol. There you are. So the hour of my revenge approaches. Listen carefully, my sweet, and you will hear my hounds as they track down your beloved Rodrigo.
Alas, not be so. Rodrigo, save me.
No, no, no. Do it like this. Clasp your hands and stagger across the room, crying frantically, "It cannot be so! Rodrigo, save me! Save me!" You see? Try it again.
Oh, dear.
Alas, it cannot be so. Rodrigo, save me.
It's no use. Do your best when the time comes. And if the audience laughs, do not blame me.
I can't see how you can write and act such splendid things, Joe. You're a regular Shakespeare.
Not quite. But I do think The Witch's Curse, an operatic tragedy, is a rather nice thing. I'd rather love to do Macbeth if only we had a trapdoor for Banquo. Is this a dagger I see before me?
No, no, it's that horrid hurricane lamp on March gave us 2 Christmases ago.
Glad to find my girl so very.
Marty!
We had always called our mother Marmy, as far back as I could remember. She was the most unselfish woman I have ever known. Everyone in town admired her, and we thought she was the most splendid mother in the world.
How's your cold, Beth? Oh, Meg, you look so tired. Were those Watson children up this that had swords? Oh, Amy, how was school? Joe, how have you found Aunt March today?
She found her well, but left her sleeping.
I've got a treat for you.
A letter!
3 cheers for Father!
Hooray!
A nice long one. He's doing well and thinks I shall get through the winter better than he feared. He sends all sorts of loving Christmas wishes and a special message to you girls. Here, I'll read that part. Give them all my
dear
love.
love and a kiss. Tell them I think of them, pray for them, and find my best comfort in their affection at all times. A year seems very long to wait before I see them, but while we wait, we may all work so that these hard days may not be wasted. I know they'll remember all I said to them, that they will be loving children to you, who do their duties faithfully, and conquer themselves so beautifully, so that when I come back to them, I may be fonder and prouder.
My Little Women.
Oh, Meg is right. I am a selfish little goose.
And I guess I can try not to be so rough and wild, but do my duty here instead of wanting to be someplace else.
That's Hannah, our housekeeper, our cook, our rock of Gibraltar. She had been with us since Meg was a baby.
Good evening, Mrs. March.
Oh, Hannah, Merry Christmas.
I'd best be telling you that a carriage has just pulled up to the walk outside, and I don't have to make you guess who it might be.
Aunt March.
Uh-oh.
Whatever can she want?
Aunt March never goes out.
Especially in winter.
Joe, do you know anything about this?
Well,
Josephine. Yes, Aunt March? It seems you neglected to relay your Christmas wishes to your aunt before leaving today. I am sorry, Aunt March. Merry Christmas, Auntie.
Girls, please offer your best wishes as well.
Aunt March was my father's aunt and was extremely rich and extremely unpleasant. She was widowed and childless and rarely left her big house on the hill because of her many ailments. Aunt March did hire me as a companion when father left for the war, and it was my job to read to her and be at her beck and call.
Josephine left today before I had the chance to give her these. One for each girl, $1 each.
thank you, Aunt March.
You can thank me by spending it wisely and not in the foolish manner young girls are accustomed to these days.
Yes, Aunt March.
Thank you, Aunt March. Won't you stay for some tea?
Nothing of the kind. I must return home before I catch my death from the cold. It was not a trip I anticipated taking.
I understand, Aunt March. You'll be glad to hear that I received a letter today from Mr. March. He's doing quite well, thank God, and speaks optimistically of the winter ahead.
Foolish nephew, to run off and join the army in his age and condition. Where does he get off doing such a thing? And to leave a family behind for others to take care of,
We
no less.
take care of ourselves.
Joe! Thank you, Aunt March, and please accept my warmest Christmas wishes.
Yes. Good day to you all.
Christopher Columbus. Oh, Father.
We shall have Christmas after all.
Here you are, girls.
Do you believe what she said about Father?
Oh, I shall buy a nice box of Faber's drawing pencils with these. I really need them.
I shall get that blue and yellow bonnet. You know, Joe, the one we saw in Mason's. Oh, nothing like that for me. I've had my own eye on those volumes of Undyne and Sintram for the longest time, and now I can get them.
What about you, Beth? What will you do with your Christmas dollar?
Do you think it would be alright if I bought some new sheet music? They have such wonderful songs at Mason's.
Or maybe I should get some new hair ribbons. What do you think, Meg?
Why not only buy a few pencils when you might have enough for some hair ribbon as well?
Mrs. March, this has just come for you. That little German boy from down the street brought it. I tried to tell him to wait.
Oh, dear. It's the Hummels. Mrs. Hummels to have her baby soon. Hannah, please fetch my cloak.
But you haven't had your tea.
Hurry, there's no time.
But who are the Hummels?
The German family that lives by the warehouses.
Mr. Hummel's killed in Virginia, and there's no one to take care of Mrs. Hummel and her 4 soon-to-be 5 children. Oh, thank you, Hannah. Girls, do not wait up for me, and Joe, I leave you in charge of the household, and Beth, do not forget to take your medicine. Good night, my girls.
Good night, Marmy.
That poor, poor woman.
Oh, well, I don't see why these Hummels have to ruin our Christmas Eve.
The Hummels have bigger problems than deciding to either buy pencils or hair ribbons. Dear Marmy. Look at Marmy's slippers. See how worn they are? Well, I know. I can buy her a new pair with my dollar.
What do I need with some silly old books?
No, I'm the oldest.
She left me in charge of the household. I'll get them.
I'll tell you what we'll do.
Let's each get her something for Christmas and not worry about ourselves.
But Henna's so like you, dear. What will we get?
I know. Joe, if you get Mommy the slippers, I shall get her a nice pair of books. She really needs them.
Some handkerchiefs. I'll have it. She'll like that.
Well, I guess I'll get Marmy a bottle of cologne. She likes cologne, and it doesn't cost much, so I might have some left for my pencils as well.
We better hurry before Mr. Mason closes up shop for Christmas Eve.
Beth, make sure to wear your heavy scarf.
Christopher Columbus is going to be a capital Christmas after all.
Or maybe, if I buy a very little bottle of cologne, I might have some left for 5 pencils and 1 hair ribbon, or 3 pencils and 2 hair ribbons.
Marmy didn't return that night. I lay awake thinking what a strange Christmas this was to be. No stockings filled with presents, no fancy Christmas dinner, no father, and maybe even no Marmy. Then I thought of Father, far away, and how odd his Christmas would be. I thought of Marmy with the Hummels, and as I finally got sleepy, I felt as though I was starting to see things as an adult does. The thought of it made me shiver, and I pulled my quilt over my head and went to sleep.
What time?
Marmy, Merry Christmas!
Oh, Hannah, where's Marmy?
Not still with that German family.
I suppose so, but I've gone and prepared breakfast all the same. Someone ought to remember it's Christmas around here.
Hannah, what's that I smell?
Not popovers.
And why not? It is a holiday. And sausages and wheat cakes made with apples from the cellar.
Christopher Columbus.
Oh, how wonderful.
Popovers? I can't believe it.
Oh, Hannah, how did you manage?
Never you mind, it's all almost ready and I'll not have it all go cold on us.
3 cheers for Hannah.
Hip hip hooray!
Oh, stop your nonsense.
Merry Christmas, girls.
Merry Christmas, I love you.
Presents, but how?
Well, with love from us, and though she doesn't know it, compliments to Aunt Marge.
Oh, dears, your dollar.
Open mine first.
You greedy little thing. Let Marmy decide which one she opens first.
I'll decide. We'll have breakfast first and then presents.
Hannah's right. I shall open them in a good time.
I guess I can wait if you can. Come on, girls, let's eat.
What is it, Marmy?
Marmy, are you all right?
Exhausted. That's what she is.
Oh, Marmy, sit right here.
I am a bit tired, but there's something I like to say before we sit down to eat.
What is it?
Mrs. Hummel had her baby early this morning, and thank God the little thing seems healthy enough, but family, all 6 of them, have no fire and have only one bed to keep warmth, and they have no food. My girls want to bring them some firewood before I do anything else this Christmas.
Of course.
There's something else I must ask of you all. Will you be willing to give the Hummels your Christmas breakfast as a present? I know Hannah's prepared something special, but, well,
A good thing you came home before we ate it all by our greedy selves.
Yes, Marmy, let's do it.
Of course, and we'll help.
Even the popovers.
Certainly, the popovers, Amy.
thank you, girls. I knew you would do it.
I'll put some firewood in the cart.
And I can push the cart.
Won't the Hummels be surprised?
Do we have any more fresh cream, Hannah?
We can warm the wheat cakes in front of the fire we made for them.
Can I carry the popovers?
Better let Beth carry them, just to be safe.
What a funny foursome of angels we were at the Hummels, all scurrying about their shabby one-room hovel like schoolgirls on a class outing. Beth tended to the baby, Hannah got a good roaring fire going, and the rest of us served food to the family, whose grateful expressions brought tears to our eyes, even as we couldn't help giggling with pleasure. Then we were off to church for Christmas services, and home for a simple breakfast of sweetbread and milk and crackers. All in all, a Christmas with so little, and yet I cannot recall a richer one in spirit. That evening was the great performance of The Witch's Curse, an operatic tragedy. No gentlemen were admitted, but the all-women audience was indiscriminately enthusiastic, even the one or two members who had actually seen a real play before.
It must be the curse that has delayed my beloved Rodrigo, for he promised to come ere the sun touched the nether edges of the great oaks that surround this castle.
I hear horse in the courtyard, my lady Zaza. Perhaps it is he.
Oh, try not and go find out, for my heart will be forever frozen in grief till I know it is he.
Certainly, my lady.
Oh, hither, hither from my home, to this dreary castle I have come. Only Rodrigo's love can make me glad and save me from a villainous cad.
Zaza, I have come.
Alas, it's Don Pedro! My heart's scourged, and my love's enemy.
There you are. So the hour of my revenge approaches. Listen carefully, my sweet, and you will hear my hounds as they track down your beloved Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, save me!
The minion has fainted! Don Pedro, your hour of reckoning has arrived. Rodrigo's coming! Insolent one, my hounds will reduce him to nothing but...
Those noises you just heard were hounds retreating, and Rodrigo has slain all your soldiers in the courtyard.
A cursed irony. I shall destroy the upstart myself.
Arise, my lady, rescue is at hand.
Hello? Don Pedro? Where are ye, thou sniveling swine of villainous wretch? Draw thy weapon, insidious one.
Let us avert our eyes, my lady, our hearts will break.
Justice, righteousness, and the honor of my beauteous Zaza.
Rodrigo!
It is I.
Oh, my ever-true Rodrigo, you have not forgotten your...
Act as if everything's all right.
My dress!
Don't worry, everyone. There's just a little bit more. You'll see. Go on.
I can't.
Look, Rodrigo, look! The setting sun is touching the nether edges of the great oaks!
I broke the strap of my shoe!
Did I not promise it so?
Onward, Prince Rodrigo!
This sunset brings to sudden end the ancient curse the witch did send. And so we close this valiant tale with heartfelt cheer to wish all thee farewell.
My beloved girls! Marmee, I didn't think I could do it. Did you see me shaking?
Oh, I do wish you would write less violent plays, Joe. I broke the strap of my shoe!
Well, I think it's Joe's most splendid play yet. Oh, I don't know. Did you like it, Marmee? I mean, really like it.
It was thrilling. I'm so proud of you all, but listen, I have a surprise.
What is it?
Compliments to Mr. Lawrence next door.
Ice cream! Fruitcake!
And chocolates?
It's such lovely flowers, even in winter.
Oh, Marmee.
Everyone, please join us in Merry Christmas to you all.
You said old Mr. Lawrence sent it? What in the world could have put such a thing into his idea, an idea into his head?
And I told one of his servants about your breakfast party for the Hummels. It's an odd old gentleman, but hearing of it pleased him so. He sent over a note this afternoon asking if he can send over a few trifles in honor of the day.
A few trifles? Christopher Columbus.
The Lawrence mansion was just a stone throw away from our house. In fact, we seemed to live in the shadow of that great rambling house. Old Mr. Lawrence was a private sort of person, a stern-looking old gentleman who only went out under the cover of his big black carriage. We girls had paid little attention to the inhabitants of the dark house and their goings-on until that December. Mr. Lawrence's grandson Theodore came to live there right after Thanksgiving, but he seemed as secretive and reclusive as his grandfather. I had a strong suspicion that it was the grandson who was responsible for our Christmas surprise. I was determined to find out, and waited all morning the next day until I saw the old man's carriage drive away.
I am so sorry, but you've just missed my grandfather. He's gone into town.
Has he? Such a disappointment. You must excuse me, so
No,
sorry.
please, you mustn't go.
I only came to thank Mr.
Come
Lawrence.
in. We never get visitors, you see. And I... Wait, you're Josephine, aren't you?
Why, yes. I mean, no. I'm only Joe. You see, Mr. Lawrence, I only
I'm not
came.
Mr. Lawrence. I'm only Lori.
Lori Lawrence? What an odd name.
No, my first name is Theodore, but the fellows at school call me Dora for short.
I hate my name too. Josephine, so sentimental. How'd you get the boys at school to stop calling you Dora?
I thrashed them.
Oh. Well, I can't very well thrash my Aunt Marge, so I'll just have to bear it. This room is capital. Just capital. Oh boy, what I could do with a room like this.
You mean for one of your place?
How do you know about that?
Well, you see, I'm very much alone here. Grandfather likes his books and is quiet, and I get awfully bored, you understand. And, oh, sometimes you forget to put down the curtain at the sitting room window, and I've seen you rehearse.
You have?
I wish I could have seen the performance last night. There were some ladies blocking the view. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
You see, sometimes when the lamps are lit, it's like looking at a picture to see you all surrounding your mother. And I can't help watching it. I haven't a mother, you know.
And that's why you've come to live with your grandfather?
Grandfather took me out of school last year to be tutored here privately. He doesn't hold much store in schools and such.
It must be dull as blazes living alone in a big old house like this. Oh, excuse my slang.
That's quite all right.
Oh, Christopher Columbus, if I'd have known you were interested, I'd have let you play Rodrigo. You'd have been smashing.
I'd have done my best. I played Macduff in school once.
You did? Did they have a trapdoor?
And yield thee, coward, and live to be the show and gaze o' the time.
Yet I try the last before my body. I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff!
Would this do for your Rodrigo?
Oh, capital. Oh. Oh. I'll tell you, Mr. Lawrence. Lori, tell you what, we'll never draw the sitting room curtain again, and well, I give you leave to look as much as you'd like. Better yet, come over and join us. We are neighbors, aren't we? Not strangers.
Yes, but
Oh, your grandfather. Yes, he does seem a frightful old bird, but I'm sure I shouldn't be afraid of him. His mouth is grim, true, but his eyes are kind. He's not as handsome as...
oh, grandfather, you're back soon.
So you're not afraid of me,
Well, no, sir.
and you don't like me as much as your grandfather,
Not quite.
and my mouth is grim.
Well,
But you like me in spite of it?
Yes, I do, sir.
Well, you certainly got your grandfather's spirit, even if I haven't his looks. Your grandfather was a fine man like you. What is more important is that he was a good and honest one. I was proud to call him my friend.
Thank you, sir.
But what are you doing with this boy of mine?
Oh, just trying to be neighborly.
Ah, neighborly, I see. That is something I am somewhat lacking in.
No, in fact, I came over to thank you for that splendid Christmas gift you sent over yesterday.
That was very much the boy's doing. This is my grandson's tutor, John Brooke. John, has your pupil been attentive lately?
Well, Mr. Lawrence, this being the holiday season, any student tends to get a bit...
Exactly. So do you think it would suffer much of a disciplinary setback if we were to host some sort of a social gathering in this house? Let's say New Year's Eve.
Not at all, sir.
Then we shall entertain such a notion. What do you say to a dance? Young people still enjoy dances, do they?
Thank you, grandfather.
Do you mean it, sir?
I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Theodore, I see you helping John Brooke with the preparations for the dance. Mrs. March, give my best to your mother for me.
Yes, sir.
A frightful old bird. Ha! I declare.
Miss March, I do think I believe in miracles.
There haven't been many dances since the war started, and even fewer that the March girls were invited to. But we meant to have a glorious time at this one. Amy and Meg were considered too young for the dancing, but were invited for the supper. As for Meg and I, we were struck with delightful panic.
Oh, this hair ribbon looks so sad. Oh, I wish I had a long, beautiful yellow one.
It looks fine, dear.
Do I really have to go, Marmee? I'd much rather stay at home with you.
Mr. Lawrence has already invited you, Beth. It would be impolite to not accompany the other girls.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
They'll have music there, Beth. I heard Claire say that they've hired 16 musicians.
Here you go, Miss Meg. I got this sash looking as happy as I can for you. Thank you, Hannah.
Where's Joe?
Joe!
16 musicians. Is that really true, Meg?
Have you got your gloves, girls?
Joe's getting mine. Joe!
I heard that Lorraine Gardner is wearing that all-silk dress she wore to the harvest ball. How ostentatious of her!
Oh, look at the time. It would be rude to arrive late. Joe!
I'd look better than Lorraine in that dress. It's just my color.
Joe's taking so long. You guys are gonna be late.
I told her she can't miss this.
Joe!
Marmee, what would you like us to do? We're not allowed to go to the dance.
I just have to get my dolls. You'll be fine.
Falling, I'm just not. Mr. Lawrence isn't gonna be happy.
You'll be fine.
Marmee! My dress won't zip and my gloves are still ruined. Meg, here are yours. They look fine. Joe, well, you can't dance without gloves. Who's ever heard of dancing without gloves? Dancing? Not very likely with this.
Oh dear, does the pad show?
Something awful!
And it's my own fault. That burn from the fireplace ought to teach me once and for all not to get too near the fireplace.
It's hardly noticeable, Joe.
Joe,
Girl, get your coat
Tonight,
on.
but said as much as possible. Keep your back out of sight at all times. That would be a challenge. Perhaps I can sit out on the porch all night, so I have an excuse to keep my coat on. Marmee, what are we to do about Joe's gloves?
Meg, give Joe one of yours and they can hold the sewed ones folded up in your other hand.
As long as she doesn't say my good one. And Joe, please behave nicely. You won't stare a shot at Christopher Columbus, will you? Don't worry about me. I'll be as prim as I can and knock into any scrapes if I can help it.
Be sure to give Mr. Lawrence my best regards.
We will, Marmee. Don't forget your coats, girls. Take this one from your sister.
And you must be the young Mr. Lawrence. Oh, but we've heard so much about you. May I present by Dr. Clara?
Pleased to meet you.
We were so hoping to sit near you at supper. As I was saying to Clara, I said how much the young Mr. Lawrence looks like his father. It's quite remarkable.
You knew my father, Miss Moffat?
Well, no, but one hears so much about him. The late Mr. Lawrence was very highly esteemed here in Concord.
I see.
I'm sure I speak for many others when I say how delightful it is to have you here.
Thank you.
I was saying just that to Clara at supper, isn't it delightful, Clara, to have Mr. Lawrence?
Excuse me, but I believe they have started dancing, and I have promised this first dance to someone else. John, perhaps?
May I have the honor of this dance, Miss Moffat?
Why, yes, Mr. Brooke.
Mr. Brooke, by any chance are you a member of the family?
There you are.
Lori!
Where have you been hiding? I've been looking for you ever since supper.
Hiding? Why would I be hiding? This orchestra is just splendid, isn't it? Your grandfather sure knows how to do a thing right, I must say.
There'd be no dance tonight at all if it weren't for you.
Nonsense.
My only regret is that he saw fit to invite so many people that I haven't been able to speak to you all evening.
You could talk to me any old time, but this music,
Then let's not waste it. Where's your dance card?
I lost it.
Then I claim this dance for myself.
No, I mean I can't, or I told Meg I wouldn't because
Because what?
she won't tell.
Never.
I have a bad habit of sitting too near the fireplace and sometimes burn my frocks. I scorched this one pretty badly, and though it's nicely mended, the patch still shows something awful. And though it's nicely mended, Meg told me to sit as much as I can, so no one would see.
Joe, you're the oddest girl.
You may laugh if you want to. It's funny, I know.
Never mind that. We must figure something out. You can't go to a dance and not dance at all, especially when I've been looking so forward to it.
I'm sorry, Lori. It's all my fault.
I'll tell you how we can manage. This hall goes out behind the musicians. We can dance out there and no one will see us.
A capital idea.
Will you do me the honor, Miss March?
Why, certainly, Mr. Lawrence.
Excuse me, Miss March, are you all right?
Oh, ever so fine. Having a marvelous time. I just needed a breath of fresh air. I don't mean to keep you, Mr. Brooke.
Well,
Please go back in.
I'd much rather stay out here with you, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'd hate for you to miss out on any of the dancing.
I fear that I shall get more than my fair share of dancing tonight.
Well, with all the young men off to the war, it's expected, I suppose.
I understand we have similar pursuits, Miss March.
In what way do you mean?
Lori tells me that you work as a governess for the Watson family.
That is true, although governess is a much grander term than I would use. I'm not a teacher, as you are.
Tutors, I am afraid, are not quite as respected as teachers, but I do enjoy doing it.
Well, that's good to hear. I just wish I liked teaching more. I don't have the education one ought to have.
Well, if you had pupils like Lori, you might like it more. I should be sorry to lose him when he goes off to college at the end of this year.
What will become of you?
As soon as he is away, I shall turn soldier. I'm needed.
Well, you have Lori and Mr. Lawrence. They should care a great deal, and my sisters and I.
Really?
Perhaps I've had enough fresh air.
May I finish this dance with you, Miss March?
Oh, yes, you may.
Wonderful.
Harry, come back, someone might see us. Oh, would it be so awful? I want to see the dancing.
We promised Barmy that we will stay with the parents until Joe and Meg are ready to leave.
Who wants to go to a dance and not see any dancing? Oh, look! There's Meg! And just look at that Lorraine Gardner.
Do you see the grand piano anywhere?
Oh, I should say so. It's as big as our dining room.
Oh, the music is so lovely.
I can't wait till I'm old enough to go dancing.
Someone's coming!
Quick, on the steps. No one will see us.
Do you see Joe anywhere?
No, I just hope she hasn't done anything horrid. Look, there's Clara. I don't like her hair like that.
Who's that dancing with Meg?
I can't tell.
Who is that there on the steps? I told you not to be out here on the steps, but you just keep... Oh my goodness. It is just the younger March sisters. Which one might you be?
Amy, sir.
Welcome, Amy, and you are...
She's shy, sir.
Is she? That is no way to be.
Oh, she'd sooner die than talk to strangers.
Strangers, but I thought we were neighbors.
Oh, that's right, Beth. Mr. Lawrence is...
Sir.
Beth, is that right?
Yes, sir.
one, I understand.
Yes.
Do you see that great hunk of a grand piano in there?
Oh, yes.
A waste! It suffers from want of use. Perhaps you could be kind enough to come over and play it sometime.
Oh, I couldn't.
Well, why not? Oh, you're shy. I forgot. Well, it needn't harm anyone. Just simply come over and shut yourself up in that room when it pleases you. I'm usually in my study, and Theo and his tutors work upstairs. Not even the servants enter after 9 each morning. What do you say?
She'll do it, sir. I can convince her.
Is that right?
If you're sure I wouldn't be disturbing anyone, I would dearly love to.
Wonderful. I will be obliged to you ladies. Have a pleasant evening.
Wow, Beth, you spoke to Mr. Lawrence like, oh, I don't know what.
Can we go back now, Amy?
Not just yet. I want to see who Clara dances with.
But it's pretty obvious, isn't it? What is, Mother? I can never understand you.
The Lawrence boy, the first time he makes any appearance since the start of the March girls descend on the place.
I'm sure they were invited, Mother.
That has nothing to do with it. I'll bet you anything. That Daisy March has got that young Lawrence boy picked out for one of her elder daughters.
Meg? Joe?
Don't think that wouldn't be a fine feather in her cap. Capturing wealthy Lawrence for one of her girls, when they have no money of their own and no prospects likely to turn up.
I don't think Joe March would want to marry any boy.
Don't talk nonsense, Clara. You take my word for it. Those so terrible Mrs. March has plans for those girls.
Wild! Did you hear that, Beth? Oh, Beth, you're crying. It's okay, my dearest. You know none of it's true.
Can we go home now, Amy?
Of course. Let's go find Joe.
Oh, there you two are. We looked for you in the dining room. Like, Beth, what's the matter?
Joe, we have to go right now.
Of course. Lori, go find Meg.
Certainly.
Amy, what's happened?
We can't tell you. Not here.
Meg.
Joe, what is it? Has something upset Beth?
Something has upset Beth terribly. We must go for home. Lori, will you forgive us if we leave right away?
Please, let me see you home then.
No, we'll be fine. Give our goodbyes to your grandfather.
Miss March, is it possible that we may run into each other again?
No, I must get home now. Yes, Mr. Brooke. Bye. Good night.
Goodbye. Miss March.
Once we got home and were able to calm Beth down, Amy told us what they had overheard Mrs. Moffat say. We all fussed and cried and complained, and eventually got the younger girls to bed. Then Meg and I went down and told Marmee the whole story.
I'm not surprised at her served Beth so, for she's so unused to people, but surely the rest of the girls couldn't take offense at such talk.
Take offense? I do indeed. If I'd have been there instead of Beth, I'd...
Mommy, why do people say such things?
For any number of reasons, I never fully know. Learn to recognize the value of other people's praise and try not to understand their scorn.
But, Marmee, do you have plans for us, as Miss Moffat said?
Yes, my dear, all mothers do, but mine differ from Miss Moffat's, I suspect. I want my girls to be beautiful and accomplished and good, to be respected and admired and loved, to have a happy youth and to be well and wisely married and have as little care and sorrow to try them as God sees fit. My dears, I am ambitious for you, and not to make a dash into the world to marry rich men merely because they're rich or have splendid houses which are not homes because love is wanting. I'd rather see you poor men's wives if you're happy, beloved, and content rather than queens on thrones without any self-respect and peace.
Marmee, sometimes I wonder if poor girls stand a chance unless they're forward or bold.
Then we'll all be old maids.
Better to be happy old maids than unmaidenly girls, or more maidenly girls running about to find a husband. Poverty seldom daunts a sincere love, Meg.
We talked late into the night, not so much as a mother instructing her daughters, but as three women, talking and discussing freely and openly. It was the kind of conversation that makes it difficult for one to go back to childish ways. With the holidays concluded and the long New England winter ahead of us, life settled back into its usual routine for the March family. Each of us girls returned to our daily burdens, as Marmee called them. Amy was still in school, and that seemed to cause her endless irritation.
I know, right? So embarrassing. If I was her, I would never come back here. Shh, here she comes.
How does she look?
Simply frightful. Amy!
What do you want?
What happened?
Did Mr. Davis strike you with the stick?
Molly's head seemed in the back of the hand so a girl could hardly tie her own hair ribbon.
Is that why he kept you after dismissal, Amy?
He sure looked angry when he saw that silly drawing picture of him.
Did he hit you, Amy?
Did he?
Certainly not. We just talked.
Talked?
I thought we heard you cry out.
Well, I confess, I did raise my voice higher than was necessary.
What did you tell Mr. Davis?
I told him that I was not accustomed to being spoken to in that way, and that if my mother knew about this, she would refuse to let me return to his silly old school.
And what did he say?
What could he say? He sort of apologized, and then I told him that it was bad enough that I had to go to a school with ill-mannered girls who have the sense of peahens.
Oh.
And my hands are just fine, thank you.
Oh.
Meg's daily burden also involved little girls. As governess for the Watson children, she found that being the teacher was even less an enviable position.
Sarah, please pay attention.
Katie started it.
Did not. Ladies, we are here to learn new words on page 16, please.
I can't read my book but start poking me all the time.
Did not. Ladies, please do not quarrel. We're trying to read new words, page 16.
I can't read my book because she spilled her tea on it this afternoon.
Did not.
And isn't that the same dress you wore twice this week? Can't you wear a different one, much more pretty one?
We're not discussing dresses.
Because she's poor, stupid. Everyone knows that.
I'm not stupid. Katie, you will start.
I heard Mama telling Martha that they're as poor as church mice. All governors are.
I'm not stupid. That is enough. Sarah, you will start.
My burden, of course, was Aunt March. Being her paid companion had many drawbacks. The old woman truly loved being ill and miserable, and enjoyed spreading her misery as widely as she could.
Josephine.
There was one consolation. Her house had the most marvelous library. Uncle March had been quite a reader and had a fascinating collection of books. Having already decided that I was going to be a world-famous writer, I would hide myself away in that library and read every time Aunt March drifted off to sleep or gossiped with callers.
Josephine.
Yes, Aunt March?
Where have you been? As if I don't already know. I pay you to keep me company, not my late husband's old books. What have you there?
The Bride of Lammermoor by Sir Walter Scott. It's rather thrilling, Auntie.
Rather more thrilling than is appropriate for a young lady, I imagine. We will continue with Mr. Belsham's essays. Let us reread the one on perseverance, as I seem to have napped during the later portions.
Yes, Aunt March.
The Bride of Lammermoor, Sir Walter Scott. What was my late husband thinking of?
As for Beth, being sweet and fragile Beth, neither school nor outside work quite suited her. Her shyness and fear of people made any efforts to introduce her to the outside world a painful failure. It took some persuasion on all our parts, but she did find the courage to go over and start playing Mr. Lawrence's grand piano. How her face shone when she would return, telling us about the magical sounds she never imagined she could create. I had my own private world, a room in the attic where I retreated to do my writing when genius was burning inside of me.
Joe!
Yes, Beth?
I'm sorry to disturb you while you're writing. I know how difficult it must be.
Difficult. This wretched story refuses to cooperate. I've got the princess up in the tower, Ferdinand down in the dungeon, and Christopher Columbus. My brain aches so.
Shouldn't bother you then.
No, Beth.
It seems as if I've hardly seen you these past few days.
Well, I've been busy. Making these.
What is it?
Slippers for old Mr. Lawrence. He has been so kind to let me come over and use his piano. I must thank him somehow. So, I needle-pointed these slippers. Do you think they would be alright?
This is a capital idea, Beth. And your needlepoint is always top-notch. He couldn't help but love it.
The thing is, how do I give them to him?
Oh, well, it shouldn't be too hard. Just give it to him next time you're over there and just say,
Oh, no, I couldn't. That would be so forward.
well, how's this then? You write a little note, and I'll put it with the package. I can give it to Lori next time he's over there, and, well, there you are.
Oh, yes, Joe, that's what we'll do.
Lovely wrapping, Beth. Is this one of Amy's hair ribbons you've got?
Oh, it was what she was gonna throw out. I think.
Spring came, and with it, my first story that I felt confident enough about to try and sell. I wrapped up the manuscript, and as inconspicuously as I could, I stole away to Main Street, where the newspaper's editorial office was situated over a dentist's parlor. Then, I presented my magnum opus to a balding editor who seemed to care less.
Caught you.
Lori!
I've been following you, Miss March, ever since you left your house.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have, and for good reason. You never come out of that old attic of yours, and the weather here has been capital, as you'd put it.
I've been busy.
So when I saw you sneak off,
I did not sneak off.
and I find you've come to this place, such a disappointment. I thought Joe March had a mysterious dark secret.
Stop being such a child. You're older than I am.
By 2.5 months. So did you have a bad time in there?
Not very.
You got through quickly.
Yes, thank goodness.
Why did you go alone?
Didn't want anyone to know.
How many did you want to come out?
Only one. How many did you think?
What's so funny?
You, Lori, where do you think I've been?
The dentist, of course. I saw
Well,
you.
I guess I still have a secret then.
Christopher Columbus, you are a strange girl. I don't think I'll walk you home after all.
I never said you could.
Very well. I have a secret of my own, you know.
Do you?
And if I tell you, you must tell me yours.
Is your secret a nice one?
Oh, isn't it? All about people you know. It's such fun. I've been aching to tell you for days.
You won't say a word to anyone else, will you?
Not a word.
And you won't tease me in private?
I never tease.
Yes, you do. But no matter. I've just left a story of mine with the editor in the newspaper office up there. He said he'd give me a reply by next week.
Hurrah for Miss March, the celebrated American authoress.
Hush! It won't come to anything, I dare say. But I couldn't rest till I tried.
Why,
And I didn't tell any of the others because I didn't want to disappoint anyone else.
By Jove, it won't fail. Your stories are works of Shakespeare compared to the rubbish that is printed every day.
Why, thank you, Becca. Now tell me, what's your secret?
Well,
Come on, Lori, play fair, or I'll never believe you again.
you remember telling me Meg was mad at you for losing one of her good gloves?
Well, yes, but
No, I know where it is.
tell them.
John Brooke has it.
He has? Well, how would you know?
I saw it fall out of his pocket onto his desk. I don't think he saw me see it, though.
But why would he?
He must have gotten it at the New Year's Eve dance.
And he's kept it all this time?
Keeps it on him always. Isn't it romantic?
No, it's horrid.
I thought you'd be pleased.
At the thought of anyone coming to take my bag away? No, thank you.
You'll feel better about it when somebody comes to take you away.
Oh, I'd like to see somebody try.
So should I.
I don't think secrets agree with me. I felt rumpled in my mind since you told me that.
Let me walk you home then.
I don't want to walk. I feel like running. Wait, race you back. Can't catch me. No, it's not, Lori. Na-na-na-boo-boo.
Joe!
Oh,
How could you go running like that at your age? What would people say?
good afternoon, Miss March.
Is it?
Joe. I hope you'll excuse my sister.
No good trying to apologize for Joe.
Nice talk, Lori. You were running just as fast.
Faster. I could have caught you, but I'm too much a gent.
I feel it is I who must apologize for my students' behavior. It doesn't reflect well on the tutor.
Oh, bosh and nonsense! Joe! I'm going in. Goodbye, Lori. Are you coming, Meg?
In a minute.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brooklyn. Thank you for your company.
The pleasure was all mine, Miss March.
And thanks for the gallop, Mr. Lawrence. It was indescribable.
And same to you, Josephine. Ta-ta.
Come along, Lori.
Joe Marchus will never speak to you again for as long as I live. Meg!
Beth, is it Beth?
We're waiting for Beth to get back from Mason's.
Is it from? I should say so. 3 of his men brought it over not 10 minutes ago. What a capital old fellow Mr. Lawrence is.
And there's a letter, too.
What does it say?
It's addressed to Beth.
Read it. Here she comes!
Let me tell her.
No, I was here when they brought it.
Hush, girls, or you'll frighten your Beth.
Marmy, they didn't have any more blue What has happened?
It was delivered while you were out.
It's a piano. Can you believe such a thing?
What?
And there's a letter.
Read it. Play it, Beth.
Oh, Barbie, I can't. It's so lovely. You read it.
It's addressed Miss Elizabeth March.
Miss Elizabeth March. It sounds so wonderful.
Come on, Beth, play it.
I've had many pairs of
There were
slippers.
slippers in my time, but none that suited me quite as well as yours. The delicate needlepoint in them reminded me so of my own gentle mother's hand. And I will always treasure them. I've delayed in thanking you, I fear, too long, as I contemplated how I might repay you. I like to pay my debts, so I know you will allow this old gentleman to send you something that once belonged to that little granddaughter that you lost. I have long since hidden her things away. When I saw you on the steps that evening, you reminded me so of her. I can think of no place that's better for her piano than with you. With a heavy heart, I remain your obedient servant,
James Lawrence.
Christopher Columbus, you have made a friend, Beth.
Your humble servant, James Lawrence. Only think of him riding at you, Beth. But wait till I tell those girls at school.
I must thank him.
Of course, dear.
You can write a little note and I'll bring it
No,
over.
I can bring it over.
No. I must thank him. Myself. Right now. Yes. Now.
Well, if that isn't the strangest thing I've ever seen. That piano's gone and turned her head. She'd have never done that in her right mind.
Marmy, is Beth all right?
I'm sure she is.
Let's watch through the window. There she is at the gate.
Oh, she's turning back. She's so scared.
No, look, she's going up to the door. I do believe the world is coming to an end. God, protect us.
yes.
I came to thank you, sir, for...
Weeks passed, and still I heard nothing from the newspaper editor. I had just about given up hope when I received a note saying he would print my story, but not until the fall when ads picked up. My payment? No money, but the experience of being published. Of course I told no one, except Lori, who I swore to secrecy, and I waited for the big day.
I shall not forget you, Angelo whispered, as the darkness came over his face. As the nightingale's song grew louder, she pressed his hand to her cheek. She could not speak, but to moan his name over and over again, but she would not weep, for his death gave her strength that would last her all her life. As it came time for the nightingale to sing one last song for her, the name of Angelo parted on her lips, as even did her last breath. The end.
That one is much better than the one they had last week.
It's so romantic.
Yes, but I don't know if she really loved him. Otherwise, she would have wept real tears, I'm sure.
I love the name Angelo, don't you?
Who wrote it, Joe?
Your sister.
You?
Joe wrote it?
Oh, I knew it. I'm so proud of you.
Let me see. By Miss Josephine March, that's what it says.
Oh, Joe, I'm so proud of you. Your father will be so pleased to hear.
Oh, it's a start, but no one will much notice.
Joe, we all know you're the most clever girl, and now it's on paper too.
By Miss Josephine March. It sounds so elegant. Just wait till I tell those girls at school.
Joe, you have to tell us how all this came about.
Well, last spring I went to the editor of the paper, and oh, you would not believe what a sour old face he has, but
Mrs. March, this telegram has just come for you. What is it?
Father,
From a hospital in Washington. Father's very ill and it says I should come at once.
Oh, Lord, protect us.
Oh, I have to leave right away, children. Help me get ready. Poor father.
The preparations were made quickly and quietly. I got Lori to run down to Main Street to telegraph the hospital that Marmee was on her way. Beth and Amy did the packing, and Meg and Marmee went to the bank to withdraw our meager savings, and then to the train depot to purchase a ticket for Washington. My job, I felt, was the most awful. I was to deliver a note Marmee wrote to Aunt March asking for some money for expenses.
Of course you'd come to me. Hadn't I said it was absurd for a man of your father's age and condition to go into the army? Hadn't I said that nothing good would come of it? But did anyone listen to me?
Father is very ill, and Marmee is leaving on the 4 o'clock train, Aunt March. We need your help.
This is a considerable amount of money mentioned in this letter.
Whatever you can spare, Auntie.
Your father had no business to put his family into
We
such a...
are very proud of Father, even if you aren't. And we'd never ask for your lousy money if we had anywhere else to turn.
Josephine.
I'm sorry to bother you, Aunt March. I'll go.
I'll think the matter over carefully and inform your mother by 4 o'clock. In the meantime, I shall try to forget your impudence, young lady.
Here are 2 bottles of wine to bring to him. I can assure you they are of some quality and will be appreciated once he's feeling better. Oh, and my dressing
Oh,
gown.
Mr. Lawrence, this was not necessary.
Nonsense! John will be attending you to Washington.
I would not stand of it.
John?
Nonsense. It has all been arranged.
Mr. Lawrence has some commissions for me that I must see to in Washington, and I'd be more than happy to be helpful.
Ooh, bless you both.
Nearly time for the train, ladies. Let's get this chart closed up.
Here's the money Aunt March sent over. And here's your muffler. Beth and I redid the lining.
Thank you, girls, but where's our Joe?
She's been gone over an hour.
Theodore, John Brooke, see that the trunk gets taken out to the carriage.
Yes, grandfather.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
Girls, I want to have you guys go down to the station.
But Marmee,
I couldn't bear it. Now, listen to Hannah as I leave you in her care and Mr. Lawrence's protection.
here's Joe.
You said Joe was there. almost gave me a heart attack.
Oh, she probably saw somebody in the window that looked like her. Oh, you're strong for real this time.
Joe, I thought I would miss you!
Where have you been? Sorry about all the fret. My contribution towards making Father comfortable and bringing him home.
$25?
Where did you get it?
Joe, I hope you haven't done anything rash.
No, it's all mine, honestly. I didn't beg, borrow, or steal it. I earned it. You see, I made such a fuss dealing with Aunt March. Well, did she already send the money?
Yes.
I was hoping she would, but I couldn't be sure. You see, I made such a fuss dealing with her and felt pretty responsible, and I felt it was my job to, well, I only sold what was my own.
Your hair! Your beautiful hair! How could you do such a thing?
Christopher Columbus.
This was not necessary, but I love you all the more because of it.
It doesn't affect the fate of the nation or anything. I was walking down Walnut Street and saw these long tails of hair in the shop window and thought they couldn't be any better than mine and figured it would do my brains good to get that mop taken off, and my head feels so deliciously light and cool, and, well, if it looks a bit boyish right now, that's more to my style, wouldn't you say?
Joe, you are the darndest girl I've ever known.
I will use the money wisely, for I know what you've done to get it.
The train, you ladies, the train!
You must each write to me.
Every day, Marmee, I'll see to it.
And be strong. Do not fret. God will bless us and keep us all.
Bye, Marmee. Give our love to Father. John, don't forget the lunch basket.
Yes, ma'am.
Take good care of her, John.
That night, I stayed up late and kept away from the others.
Joe, you haven't gone to bed either. I can hear Amy snoring up there. Thank goodness young ones can sleep.
Yes,
Everything will be all right in the end, don't you think?
yes, I see that John Brooke has gone with Marmee too.
I won't hear you say.
He's a good man. Meg, I'm glad he's with her.
And Father, just fine.
Yes, I know, but
Is it Mother?
no, it's my
hair!
Christopher Columbus. What's the matter, Beth?
Don't!
Beth?
You've had scarlet fever, haven't you?
Years ago when Meg did, why?
I'll tell you. Oh, Joe, the baby's dead!
The baby?
Mrs. Hummels. It died in my arms right before she came home.
Oh, you poor dear, how dreadful for you.
It wasn't dreadful, Joe. Only so sad. She went to get the doctor, and I was singing her that lullaby Marmee always used to. It seemed to be asleep, but then it gave a little cry and trembled and lay very still. The doctor said it was scarlet fever.
But Beth, you've never had scarlet fever before.
The doctor told me to come home and take belladonna right away.
And so you shall. Let's get the cloak off. Christopher Columbus, I should have never let you go. Hannah! Amy, Meg!
Don't let Amy come near. She's never had it, and I would hate to give it to her.
What in heavens is going on in here? It's Beth. She may have the fever.
Oh, Lord, protect us. Come on, girls.
Beth did have the fever, and by the next morning, her frail little body was burning with the ailment. We wanted to telegraph to Marmee right away, but Hannah wouldn't hear of it. Amy, much against her will, was sent to Aunt March's house to stay. Twice a day, Dr. Beggs came to check on Beth. Meg had a telegram all written and ready to send in case Beth's condition got worse. After 5 days, Beth lost consciousness, and the doctor ordered that Mrs. March be sent for at once. Meg went to send the telegram, and I retreated to my attic room with more despair than I had ever felt before.
Worse.
We've sent for Marmee. The doctors told us to.
Oh, Joe, it's not as bad as that.
She doesn't know us. Lori, when her eyes are open, she sees nothing. And there is no one to help us bear it, for Mother and Father are gone, and God seems so far away I can't find him.
I'm here, Joe. Hold on to me.
Beth is my conscience, my soul. I can't give her up. I just can't.
Well, if it's any comfort to you, your mother will be here soon.
Perhaps not soon enough. Meg only sent the telegram an hour ago.
But I telegraphed her yesterday.
What?
Hannah's instructions be dashed. I wired yesterday morning and John Brooke answered. He said they'd be here as soon as they could.
You did? Oh, Lori, oh my Lori, but... Oh, no, it was dreadful of me. I shouldn't have, but you're just such an angel. I couldn't help flying at you.
I don't mind.
Marmee is coming.
On the late train at 4 this morning.
Lori, you were such a dear. How shall I ever thank you?
Fly at me again. I rather like it.
The hours ticked by slowly, and there was no change in Beth's condition. If only Marmee would come. If only Marmee would come.
I wish I had no heart that ached so. God spares Beth. I shall try to love him and serve him all of my life.
Oh, I wish I had no heart ache so.
If life is often as hard as this, I don't know how we shall ever get through it. Hannah? Hannah, what's happened? Hannah, come quick, please!
Beth. Her skin is damp. She's breathing easy and she's sleeping natural. The fever's turned. Oh my goodness me, praise be given. Marmee, she's come, she's come.
Hi, girls. Where's our Beth?
Hannah was right. The fever passed, and by morning, Beth's eyes were clear and quite bright. With Marmee home again, and all of us nursing and tending to her, Beth gradually got her strength back. And by Christmas Eve, she was well enough to be brought downstairs to join the family.
Look, here she comes.
Mr. Lori and Lawrence are bringing her in.
Doesn't she look splendid?
Oh, Beth, look at the tree. It's not as nice as it would have been if you had helped, but... Oh, don't drop her, Lori.
Here, right on the sofa.
Gently, Lori.
Merry Christmas, my dear one.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
3 cheers for Beth.
Hip, hip, hooray. I'll get the wine. Beth, Mr. Lawrence has provided the most marvelous treats.
Once again.
Grandfather can't help himself when it comes to the March girls.
Are you comfortable there, dear?
Yes. Here's something to celebrate with. A little taste of this, Miss Beth, and you'll have the color right back in your cheeks. I'll go get sufficient wine glasses.
After all, it is Christmas, isn't it?
John?
You've returned?
I have, and with a special Christmas surprise for the March family.
Father!
And so, the March family was all together once again. It would be the last time, for the days that followed were filled with new experiences and new people. I can only pause and smile now when I think of that moment in time, that Christmas 1864, and I frown and I laugh when I think of what would become of those little women.
We will now take a brief 10-minute intermission. Please remember to refrain from any flash